How's it going, everyone? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews. As you can tell, once again, my foot's still giving me some grief, so instead of standing here doing the review, it's going to be done in this format for the foreseeable future for now. That being said, One Piece. One Piece chapter 918, and the chapters are dropping a day earlier, it seems, and that I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Now, I will not be interrupting my Thursday night football game. However, manga. I have plenty of time to review the chapters of manga that have come out this beautiful Thursday. And chapter 918 dropped. Luffy repays a favor. This chapter, one issue people are going to have with it is the one-shotting of Hold'em. I know some people believe that they were expecting Hold'em to be, being a headliner, he'd be Hawkins-esque level and stuff. And once again, people are giving Hawkins, in my mind, a little too much credit. I don't think Hawkins is all that strong. I thought he'd be a big contender back in the day, but now I don't think he's undergone as much development or power boosts as everyone else did in the time skip. Before, sure, he was a major contender and would have been a worthy rival. But at this point, I think he's been dwarfed. And I think the other headliners are really no match for the likes of people like Zoro and Law and Luffy. That being said, a lot of people are going to be miffed about that. I'm not so much, because when I heard about Hold'em the Lion, sort of idea, I went, this is cool. This is cool. We're going to get some badass dude, that is directly under Jack, and he's still, Luffy or Zoro, somebody's going to beat him, but it's going to be a good fight. Then we got Hold'em, and, yeah, no. Mr. Texas Hold'em here, no, sorry guys, I don't care for the design, didn't really like the attitude of the character, the whole crotch lion, nope, so I'm okay that he got one shot. I just wanted to get that out of the way, guys. That being said, the cover page, we have Sai, and we have Bartolomeo, and we have Cavendish in the pirate Grand Fleet of the Straw Hats. Okay, cool. Just a shot of those characters. We've seen them before. Nothing major going on the cover page. Now, the chapter begins where we left off last time. We see everyone's been in shock, Hold'em just got one-shotted, and Lady Speed shows up oh my god, Luffy, who is this man who one-shotted Lord Hold'em sort of idea. Zoro's alright, let's get going with this food treasure ship thing. And Luffy, seeing the back end of a horse, decides, I'm gonna grab Tom and jump on the horse. Get along, little doggy, get along! And, yeehaw, it's Lady Speed. So I thought that was kind of funny. Because at first she's all doing sort of a pudding with Sanji sort of thing, who is embracing me so tightly? Wait a minute, no, I'm not, and turns around and it's what do you get? What? It's whoa, cool, it's a horse, go on horse, whoa, it's a human, what the hell? It's very Luffy-esque. Every chapter we're getting a little bit of old school Luffy, just with his, like the way he was when it was Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper all being amazed at something, like a big whale sort of idea, just being so drawn and so whoa, we're getting a lot of that old school stuff almost at least once a chapter, it seems, with old school Luffy, and that's kind of nice. Even without Usopp and Chopper present, we're still getting some of that. So it's nice to see. And we also, Luffy, fast thinking on his feet. He's oh yeah, hey, Tama, the whole cheek thing, the food, give me one of those. And she's she questions it, but doesn't, she's yeah, okay, brother Luffy, no problem. And rips the thing off, is but my things don't work on a human, that's not gonna work. And Lady Speed eats it, and all of a sudden, oh, master, where would you like to go? And I'm wait a minute. All of a sudden, she's all compliant and yes, master. I'm what? And Luffy's just well, she's half horse. I figured it might work. And I'm okay, this is fast thinking for Luffy, but also I want to clear something up before we get on with the rest of the chapter. I believe this can only affect the artificial, the smile devil fruit users. I believe that's the artificial zone fruit users. I believe it affects them because they don't seem to have a stage. We don't know for certain, but it seems they've been combined with an animal. They're half animal, half human. It's not the same as Chopper or anybody else, or Jack or somebody. So I would. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it could affect Kaido," and once again, we don't even know if Kaido has the devil fruit, and it could affect Jack. It's like, no, I think this is just something that was used for a little comedic effect. I don't really honestly think we'll see it again. If we do, it'll only be one time. I don't think it's going to be a major player in the Wano arc. I think it was done more for comedic effect. And also, once again, I only think that this affects artificial zone users because they are a unique case. They're not true devil fruit users. It's not a true zone. So, hard to say exactly. I'm on the fence about it, but I'm going to go on the belief that this only affects people like Hold'em and Speed and the like, and it will not affect true zone users. That being said, they rush and they're like, woo, here we go. We also see that a lot of people were saying that, Red Hawk ode to Ace sort of idea, the way to take out Hold'em sort of idea, the one who captured Tama, who is, of course, Ace's friend sort of idea. Yeah. Everyone who called it, I said the same thing, a bit of an ode to Ace, and that's what it was. Tama recognizes it not once but twice in this chapter sort of thing, like continuously Luffy is reminding Tama of Ace and the things that Ace said and did. Because once again, Sabo we haven't seen, I guess, enough of to know, but you could make the argument for Ace too, but Ace and Luffy are very much alike in the way they handle situations. Ace was more down to earth and mature about it, and to a sense, to a stretch. But at the same time, Ace still had the same. Well, I gotta take that guy out. Oh, you need food. Oh, I gotta save these people. Like their way of speaking and their way of going about it might be slightly different, but at the end of the day, they act the same way. They're very much brothers. And Tama is continuously seeing this. So it is nice that we are seeing these little odes to Ace and seeing a little more like flashback things with Ace and stuff. That's nice because I feel like Ace's death was such a major thing in this series, but I do wish we had seen a little more Ace. Because Ace was really cool. Ace was such a badass. And I'm really disappointed we did not get to see more Ace. So if we only get him in flashbacks, we need more flashbacks. That's all I'm going to say. That being said, we move on to the Hawkins versus Law in Bakura Town. Bakura, Bakura, whatever. Once again, every time I say Bakura, I keep thinking Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! We are talking about Wano arc in One Piece. So let's stick with that. The fight actually lasted a little longer than I thought. I assumed, like a lot of people, that the fight would get interrupted before it really even began. We'd get some dialogue, some banter back and forth, maybe one move start, like a clash, and then it'd be over. But they do get interrupted, like a lot of people thought they would, and in a manner that some reviewers did call. I did not. But we still did get some pretty cool stuff, some deduction, and here's what happens when you have two smart characters. Zoro is smart when it comes to fighting, but not necessarily at deducing. Like, you know what I mean? Not so much tactical. Same with Luffy. Not tactical fighters in a sense. Law and Hawkins, this is more of a fight. Like, they're feeling each other out. Like, Hawkins was there, okay, those tattoos, that stance, that ability, he used room, okay, I know, Trafalgar Law sort of idea, remove that basket at once sort of idea. And Law, of course, realizes after he tries to use room to cut down Hawkins, but of course it cuts down one of his men sort of idea, he cuts down all the surrounding men that Hawkins has present. Hawkins realizes this, and Law's like, bang, so they finally clash officially. Hawkins, not a doll, but a straw doll or whatever it is. Hawkins and Law themselves actually clash. And Hawkins states, you figured out that power pretty quick, and that's what he's referring to. He's like, So this means that Hawkins' ability is limited, not necessarily in number, but to the number of people present. I'm going to go under the assumption that because all the other people are taken out, now they aren't killed, so that might be a little weird, but let's assume for a moment that all these people were actually killed by Law, all these subordinates. That means Hawkins cannot use his voodoo doll trick to gain an extra life like a video game anymore. He cannot do this because Hawkins is concerned and he draws his own sword. If he could just, use another life, why would he bother? So it's definitely an area of effect technique, but the effect is limited, similar to Law's room. Now, they clash, and there is some dialogue that is semi-important here. We get the idea that Hawkins has deduced that the Alliance has entered one. I've already clashed with Straw Hat. I understand that you guys are here in Wano. I'm assuming you came here to seal my lips in case I, went and reported it. But alas, the Den Mushi comes on like, Hold'em has been defeated by bandits. Jack has been informed, and Law's going there like, okay, Roronoa was with them. They won't do anything foolish like take out Hold'em, for the love of God. And it's like, they took out Hold'em? What the hell? So Law's just like, okay, you figured out Straw Hat is here. You figured out the Alliance. You figured out why I came to stop you. They took out Hold'em. Jack's been reported. This is the worst case scenario right now. So Law's just like, oh, man. And that's when Zoro bursts it down like, all right, everybody, get the hell out of the way. I don't know how to stop this thing. And they just start crashing through. I didn't really see where Law jumped on necessarily, but I guess that's the end of the fight, really. Law jumps on to the food treasure ship with Zoro and starts yelling at Zoro like, what did you do? What are you doing right now? You were supposed to lay low. You're supposed to be a Ronin in the capital. Not only are you on the wanted list, but now you guys, 5 minutes after Luffy shows up, you take out a headliner. No. Now Jack is aware of this. Shit's a problem. Law is just exasperated. Law is basically, in this case, Law is the Nami of the ship right now. Law is the one that's like looking between Zoro and Luffy and looking for like a shred of common sense to a plan. To actually sit down and formulate a plan. He's like, Law is out there trying to be some mastermind of some crazy Ocean's 11 heist. And meanwhile, Luffy and Zoro are just sitting back like, let's go break shit. Well, we want to rob the bank. Oh, that's pretty easy. We'll just go up to the bank. We'll kick everybody's asses in our way. We'll break open the vault and we'll walk out the front door with the money. That's their idea of a plan. So, obviously, Law is very frustrated by all this. But they do end up back in Leftover Town. And everyone's chasing them, but that doesn't matter because Luffy is in short work behind them and drops a crap ton of poison-free water on them and everything. Now, I want to talk about this scene, this big 2-panel scene really quick. We get information, Kiku's talking to Zoro all about like, okay, we're going to make to Leftover Town soon here, and stuff. And so it's like, all right, free food for everybody sort of idea. That was the whole plan. So they take out the people chasing them and that's the end of it. Now, they've clearly ditched Lady Speed back somewhere. I don't believe we saw where. Once again, didn't get a chance to really check both panels. A little busy today and really scrutinize, but I don't believe we saw. But either way, Tom and Luffy ditched Lady Speed at some point once they were far enough distance gap, I'm assuming. When they get there, we get this double-page spread, and we see that, that the little boy that was crying earlier sort of idea, like, I want food, and they're like, and then there's drinking from the river that's poison sort of idea, Tusaru's there, and it's like, what's going to happen? Then we see something, and once again, this is not for everybody. A lot of people that read One Piece, the casual fans, they will skip by something like this, just be like, okay, people suffering, next. I want to see what happens. Pay close attention to the background, but also to the small panels of no-name characters. Because not only do we see an old woman kneeling down, sitting, with a knife, and a crying hungry baby, and literally like the hangman's noose. And I believe we even saw, I noticed in the comments, I didn't have a chance to check, guys, but apparently there was a scroll or letter or something indicating that there was a suicide note of some variety. So what people have taken away from this, and I agree, is that she was going to kill her own baby rather than let it starve to death. And then she was going to hang herself because she could not live with the shame and guilt of killing her own child, even out of mercy. One Piece is dark. One Piece is a dark, dark story. It has some dark shit going on in the background. I've always said Oda has a very unique way of showing things. He gets away with a lot of stuff. And some of the things I think he only gets away with because he is Oda. Because this is One Piece. He can toe that line, that PG-13 rating that is a shonen genre. He can, toe that line and jump as far into the gray area as he feels like pushing it. I'm pretty sure they don't sit back and tell Oda what to do with One Piece because it's their cash flow. But at the same time, this felt really like there's a lot of dark undertones, and you really have to read into it. The celestial dragons, what happened, and everything they do, the Tenryubito, the slaves under Marigewa, all the corruption in the government, and how people are treated, and how some of the racism that goes on, and not to mention that what happened to the Boa sisters and stuff. And once again, going back to the celestial dragons, what happened to them? We all know what happened to them. And multiple people like them, the fishmen and the mermaids and everyone that were taken in, We know what happened. Oda can't show it. He doesn't have to show it for us to get upset, for us to be passionate about hating. Literal hate. Iago once said, hating is such a strong word, and it applies. It applies completely to the Tenryubito. And in this way, Oda is doesn't need to show it, doesn't need to explain it for us to get the dark undertones. As a young reader, you can read it and be like, okay, they're bad guys, they're villains, they kidnapped them. As an older viewer, we know what really happened. Or we can at least surmise the things that did happen. And it's not pleasant by any stretch. It was a shocker to me, and that's the reason I bring this up, because usually it's dark undertones, and it's interpreted versus a young reader versus a mature. Very little interpretation here. Crying baby, crying mother, hangman's noose, big knife held over the baby. Guys, it's blatantly there, and I'm surprised that it was allowed in this shot. But either way, I think it's very powerful, and it's something we need to talk about. This arc is only on the tip of the iceberg of what the darkness that we're going to see, and the dark implications we are going to see in this arc, especially, and One Piece going forward. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. We're seeing some real world problems. We're seeing literal people, babies, suffering. This is a war. This is not pleasant. This is not nice. And I'm really glad that Oda is not forgetting that fact. He's showing the happy-go-lucky scenes, but he's also showing the suffering a little bit every chapter. It's a perfect balance every chapter. And I'm just enjoying this entire arc so far. Now, the end of the chapter, of course, has everybody eating and Luffy doing his thing, basically saying, name's Luffy Taro, and, here's all the food and stuff. I'm repaying the food that Tama gave to me. Tama, don't worry. By the time I leave this country, you'll be able to eat like this every single day, sort of idea. And once again, a memento, like a remembrance of Ace, because Ace said something similar to her, and she's just so happy about these type of things. And here's where Hawkins is full of himself. Guys, I like Hawkins as a character. Not a favorite. Definitely not in my top 20, even. But I don't dislike Hawkins. But he is overestimating himself completely. And everybody who thinks that Hawkins won against Zoro or Luffy in their little clash, no. Nope. Sorry, guys. It's just, I cannot conceivably see it. This is not 99 Lives Yoshi, as we've just been subjected to. We just saw that because Law figured it out and cut down all the subordinates in the area. You don't think Zoro and Luffy could have done the same thing in a nanosecond? They figured it out, but they needed to run away because Tama was in danger. So Hawkins is overestimating himself completely because here, and once again can't show panels, but we see that the Lion's still awake, Hold'em's been taken out completely. We don't see Speed again, but we do see Hawkins basically saying this is rather public failure, but 3 characters. I believe he's referring to, of course, Luffy and Zoro and Law. I don't think he's referring to Kiku in that sense, but either way, 3 very powerful characters kind of showed up. He goes, I doubt even I would be. I'm like, you doubt? You doubt? Any of them could take you down, Hawkins. Law figured out your little 99 lives trick in literally a minute. And Zoro and Luffy would not have been threatened by them anyways. They cut you down twice without trying. They were just trying to escape. I don't see... He's overestimated. I doubt even I... No, you would not have been able to take down one... Hawkins versus one of them. That's a battle. That's not a one-sided... That's not a curb stomping, But it's clearly in the side of either Luffy, Zoro, or Law. I'd give the odds to them. They'd be the favorite for gambling odds. But could Hawkins pull some shit? Of course he could. But against 2 of them? No. These are some of the strongest of the supernovas. You cannot... Hawkins is not the person to take on 2 of his own rank. And considering the fact that Luffy is now... He's a supernova, but he's also labeled as a Goku or a 5th Emperor. You're out of your league here, Hawkins. You don't, stop overestimating yourself. That line stuck with me and just ticked me off, guys. I just needed to rant about that for a minute. Once again, like Hawkins as a character, don't dislike him, but he's overestimating himself, and a lot of the community is also overestimating Hawkins in a clash with any of these characters. It's just, sorry, guys. Sorry. He's not a calamity. He's a headliner. And we just saw what Luffy can do to a headliner. So, yeah. Anyways, the end of the chapter shows up. Of course, we're jumping back over to Leftover Town. Luffy's sitting there like, we're going to save Wano. We're going to save Wano. And he's like, oh, Traffy, you're here. And he's like, you just put rebellion against Wano, the entirety of this country. We're in deep shit. You showed up. We've been here for a while. You showed up for 5 minutes. And now everything's gone to shit. Either way, they discuss about things, and we get some comedic effect between Zoro and Law and Luffy. But at the end of it, Law and Zoro explain to Luffy that we have to go to the ruins of Odin Castle. We have to go to its peak, or the bottom of the peak, or whatever. We have to go and see the Wano's ghosts and reveal an unbelievable truth. And once again, I can't show panels, but we see all the characters we basically know that came from Wano. We see a marking, a stone grave or marking. They're graves. They're totally graves. They must be. That's the only thing I can take away from them. I don't know enough about Japanese culture to say that maybe that's an honorary shrine way of doing it, but this is way too graveyard-esque for me, guys. But there's clearly, because we see everybody, we know not all these characters can be dead. It can't be the case, right? Right? So, something else is going on here. And it's a crazy truth. Once again, I believe Odin is alive. I spoke about that in my 12 Sazaijo Wazumono grade swords video. I spoke about the fact that I believe that Odin at one time or still possesses one of the 12 great swords, and I believe he is still alive, with Laboon and everything and Crocus on, But either way, what's this truth gonna be? I have no idea. I have no sweet clue. I don't want it to be something as simple as Odin's been alive the whole time and hiding. Like, I already suspected that. I suspected that, months and months and months ago. Well, it must be years now. Ever since we were revealed that he was dead, I was like, no, Odin's not dead. Don't believe it. So, what could the truth be? Let's assume that Oda's not going to cop out with Odin's actually alive. But what's with the marking of all these gravestones? What's with the names? And what's so specific about Odin Castle and such? I'm very interested to find out what this truth is, but I honestly have no theories behind it, because I don't believe Oda's going to be so black and white as to show just Odin's alive. It's something bigger. I think this is something much bigger, guys, and I think we're going to be a little shocked. We thought all the platinum-covered gold was all in reverie. But maybe this will be just as good as the reveal of Ym-sama, or the Straw Hat, or any of these big things, or the Locks Pirates and all that stuff. This could be as big. And it would be awesome if it was. We might not be done with that platinum-covered gold, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, that's the end of the chapter, guys, and I've rambled on long enough. What did you guys think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment as always. It's always very much appreciated. And we'll see you back here next time for One Piece, chapter 919, guys. Can't wait for it. This has been Griever, your host as always, for your Behind the Bar reviews. Drink responsibly. See you back here next time. See ya.